Hello, welcome back. I'm John, and I've got a tag video for you today. It's the Sod's Law tag, which is created by Duncan at Back Away from the Donkey, and I was tagged by Pat at Book Chat with Pat. I've been looking forward to this one. So, Sod's Law is something like Murphy's Law, which, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and at the worst possible time. And I've been wanting to do this one, so just going to go right into it. Number 1. The video you spend the most time on and are most proud of is likely to get the least views. Name that video. So for me personally, that would be a whole string of videos, and it would be my reading updates, my book reports. I've never really settled on a name for them, but whatever you want to call those videos at the end of the week or 2 weeks where I've put together books and talk about them, which is what Booktube is here for, right? To talk about the books I've read. And I feel like they always get the least amount of views. They do steadily build up, and they have been steadily getting more views, which is really nice. But for the longest time, I would put up a tag video and get like 100 views, and then I would put up a reading report video and get like 25 views, 30 views, and that's kind of frustrating. That's kind of frustrating because I feel like they don't always come out to the standard I would like them to come out to, that's true. And they're always pretty long, but I put a lot of effort into them actually, and what you don't get to see is all the bloopers and outtakes and me going, and so they're the ones that I am most proud of, even though I don't think they're always my best work, and they're also the ones that usually get the least views. But like I said, they are getting more views as time goes on and as I'm getting better at it. I certainly wasn't very good at it when I started, and I'm getting better at it. Number 2, the video that you had the most disasters putting together. I think that would probably be my bookshelf tours. Not just a single video, but multiple videos. Trying to get the camera in the right place, and then dealing with the really bad lighting. And at the time I didn't have microphones, so the sound would be really bad. And on top of that, I was working with a different phone at the time, which would record for 24, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And I'd get into this really long single take. And then it would say, oh, sorry, we can't save that. And it would just turn off and not save. And I didn't understand why, because I had more than enough memory. It was just some kind of glitch, and that whole experience irritated me so much that I quit doing my bookshelf tour, and I haven't returned. And I've been meaning to. I probably should, but that was just a frustrating experience. That was right after I started doing this. So those were frustrating. Number 3. In opposite to prompt 1, the video that you threw together off the cuff with minimal work is the one that gets the most views. Name a video. So that would be my video, Why I Didn't Finish Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. It has almost 900 views now. And it was just a 5-minute video that I really just slapped together. I just put the camera on like a stack of books and sat on the couch over here and talked about why I didn't finish reading The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, and it was a really simple reason. I've gotten a lot of feedback on that video. The reason was that in the copy that I have, it's the complete text of The Decline and Fall, and all the footnotes, which should be at the bottom of the page where they belong, where they should be, are at the back of the book as endnotes. And Gibbon would write 100 footnotes every chapter, and there are a lot of chapters, and so flipping back and forth was driving me crazy. And I got all kinds of suggestions about, well, you don't really need to read them, they're not all that important, and you're missing out on the book itself. And one of the best suggestions I got was just to take the footnotes out, cut them out, and read them side by side with the book. And that wouldn't be too hard to do because I do find those in pretty bad shape sometimes that are, the covers are messed up and falling apart. Now that I have this great hole punch, I can just punch them, put rings on them or whatever, clips, and just read the footnotes as I go along. That's actually a pretty interesting idea. But I've been holding out for just a complete set. It's not like I'm in a rush. It's been around since the late 1700s. I think it'll be around a little longer. Okay, number 4, don't believe the hype. The book you were really excited for and looking forward to that was a letdown for you. That could be any number of books, and I can't think of one right off the top of my head. You know what, I think I'll go with The Tommyknockers by Stephen King. So I think it may have been one of the last Stephen King books that I read. I haven't read one of his books in several years now, and I think it was because I read the Dark Tower series, and then I read The Tommyknockers, and I just didn't like The Tommyknockers. I liked the concept, but he follows around this main character that gets drunk and rants and raves about like nuclear power, and he was just frustrating for the whole book, and I don't know, it felt like being preached to quite a bit about the evils of nuclear power, and I don't know, I liked the concept of that book, but I thought the execution was not particularly well done. Okay, number 5, the book you're excited to read, but every time you try to read it, something happens and you end up reading something else instead. Well, that could be a lot of books, because the way that I choose a book when I'm unsure of which to choose next is I put a bunch of books in a stack and I read through them, and if none of them catches my eye, I stick them back on the shelves and start again. So there are books I have that have been on those piles many times over the years. And if I had to pick one, I don't know if it's visible on camera, it would be right here. It's a biography of Edward I, Longshanks, and I keep meaning to read that one, and I just, for some reason, cannot find the time to commit to a 600-page book about Edward I. Okay. Number 6, a Booktube event you keep meaning to participate in, but events mean you never do. I'm not really big on Booktube events. Like, I'll participate if I feel like it. So, what is it? I think I took part in Garb August last year, Rocket Summer, and June on the Range. Those are the ones that I really like the best. And then there's, I think, March Mystery Madness, and I took part in that and really enjoyed that. But those are really the ones that I like the best, and other than that, I'm not particularly drawn to doing events. I like watching other people's videos about events, but I really like to keep my reading as free and loose as I possibly can, because I like to skip from one thing to another. I'm not really big on TBRs. I don't really like having assigned reading or anything like that. And one reason I don't participate in like group reads or anything like that is because I very rarely feel like reading certain books. And when I do, it's probably not going to align with when other people want to read those books. So I'll either get to them or I won't, but I'm not a real big event guy. But like I said, I like watching other people's books about events. I always look forward to them. Number 7, a book you've ended up with multiple copies of because you didn't think you had it. So the only one I could really think of is, and I don't remember which one it was now, but there are 2 books by Tim O'Brien, If I Die in a Combat Zone, and then The Things They Carried. And they came out in a certain edition that's like a white paperback, and they look very much alike. I think they're different colors. And I just couldn't remember which one I had read and which one I hadn't. And actually it turned out that I had read them both. And so I bought one of them and I brought it home, and I was looking through it and I was like, have I read this? because for me, I've read quite a bit about the Vietnam War, and it to a certain extent, it all kind of blends together because it's and this is not talking bad about Tim O'Brien or anything like that at all. It's just that they tend to blend together. Vietnam stories tend to blend together because of the elements, because of Vietnam, because of the weapons and the small town, big city backgrounds of the characters, the ever-present helicopters and the jungle. And I just couldn't remember which one of those I read. It turns out that I had actually read both of those. And I think I donated that. I think I donated all of them, actually. All right. Question number 8. The video that you have been trying to get together for the longest time that you just never get around to because of events. So that would be a series of videos on short stories. I absolutely love short stories, and I really, really want to make videos about them. And I just never have. I've never really found a sweet spot in between telling too little about them and telling too much about them. And I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. I keep meaning to. Number 9. A book you keep trying to buy but is never around, or other things thwart your ability to buy. So I'm going to go with The Night in Lisbon by Eric Maria Remarque, who you may know as the author of All Quiet on the Western Front. But he also wrote several other books, one of which is a really great book called Arch of Triumph. And he also wrote a book called The Black Obelisk. And really, to be fair, I have been looking for all of Remarque's other books. The Night in Lisbon, The Black Obelisk. I'd like to have another copy of Arch of Triumph because I gave mine away to someone who didn't appreciate it, actually. And so I would just go with Remarque's books. I'd like to read all of them, and I never ever see them. I see All Quiet on the Western Front pretty often. And, you know, if I would just order them, I could have them. But I don't order books. And recently I sold a bunch of books, and my intention was to order books, but I was going through these long lists of books I'd like to have, and I just couldn't make up my mind. But I think I may finally just order The Night in Lisbon and The Black Obelisk and just have it done with, have them here. You know, but I don't order books because I have so many books. And my fear about ordering them is that I may get them but still not feel like reading them, so they may sit on the shelf for several years. But the thing is, even if I find them in a bookstore and I bring them home, they may still sit on the shelf for several years. So I may as well get them and have them, right? Okay. So number 10 is to tag some others. I'm going to do that. I'm going to tag some people down in the description. I forgot to write anybody down. And I think I have a pretty good idea of who I'm going to tag. And I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.